Live from downtown Detroit, Local 4 News at 5 starts now.
We begin tonight with a break in the case. Brand new developments in the shooting death of a 16-year-old who was just walking down the street in Pontiac. The mother of 16-year-old Desiree Ch has been pleading for clues in the case ever since she was gunned down back on October 28th.
And now the Oakland County Sheriff and federal agents say they've made 2 arrests in connection to her death. Victor Williams is live in the newsroom. Victor, I remember Desiree's mother saying she didn't believe her daughter was the intended target in this.
Yeah, that's right, Devin and Kimberly, and she's not the only one. Law officials feel the same, and in just about a week's time, multiple people are being looked at for her murder. 16-year-old Desiree Ch's life came to a horrible end on October the 28th when she was shot in the leg and chest while walking with a friend near the intersection of South Johnson and Menominee, not too far from her home. The Oakland County Sheriff's Office says it doesn't believe that she was the intended target of the shots. Regardless, a 27-year-old has been arrested and charged in federal court in connection to Desiree's death, along with the man that's not being identified at this time. 27-year-old Jamil Tanzel is being charged with being a felon in possession of a firearm, so it's unclear what part he allegedly plays in Desiree's death. But according to a criminal complaint filed by ATF agents, witnesses say that after Desiree was shot, 3 men came to check on her. 2 men then got into an SUV parked at the home right where Desiree was shot and then took off right before police and first responders could get there. Tanzel is believed to be the person in the passenger seat. Cops then found several .40 caliber cases at the scene right in front of that home. After securing a search warrant, investigators went inside to find 2 guns in a backpack hidden underneath the basement stairs. It's said that it's the same casings matching the casings found at the scene of Desiree's shooting. The unidentified suspect is believed to be the owner of the home in question. Tanzel has previously been convicted of 4 felonies and was on probation. Officers searched his home to find a .22 caliber rifle in one of the cabinets in the bedroom. And it's also said that Tanzel, along with the unidentified man, were both involved in a traffic accident and assault case at the same location about an hour before the shooting happened. Both left the scene before police could make it. The 2, however, will be facing a judge in the coming weeks. Live in the newsroom, Victor Williams, Local 4.
Victor, I know that people, especially in the Pontiac community, were very interested and attentive to this story. Is there anything that viewers can do to help Desiree's family?
Yeah, that's right. We know this all happened out of the blue, and a lot of people are hoping to help. They can head over to our website, clickondetroit.com, for a link to be able to donate.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Okay, Victor, thank you. Our other top story tonight, the UAW strike against the Detroit 3 might be winding down, but the strike at Detroit's casinos and Blue Cross Blue Shield show no signs of letting up. 3,700
casino workers have now gone past a full pay period, and now there's a new effort to help the striking workers. Sean Lay live with that story. And for Sean, a lot of these workers, it's paycheck to paycheck, so it's going to get tough now.
Let's talk about Blue Cross Blue Shield employees here on this side of the street. Went on strike weeks and weeks ago. This is day 50, Devin and Kimberly, 50 of going without a paycheck, being out here on strike. They're hearing very, very little, so you can sense the weariness here on day 50. Right across the street, another example here. We've got members of the casinos here on strike as well. This is Hollywood at Greektown here. They're on strike. So today, a call for food, clothing, diapers, formula for people that are on strike who are really feeling it now, and you can sense that weariness when we're out here today. Drumming up some enthusiasm on the strike line in downtown Detroit today, Blue Cross Blue Shield employees who went on strike back on September 13th, along with employees of the 3 Detroit casinos. They went on strike October 17th. We have been here talking to people walking the picket lines, and they are growing weary. Lee Edwards works for Blue Cross Blue Shield. She's getting $500 a week in strike pay, and that is not going very far at all.
It's difficult.
Tell me about that.
Like they were saying, you have to choose between extracurricular activities or daycare, groceries, or paying the rent. It's just difficult.
What's the biggest challenge where you say, oh boy, this is getting tough?
It's getting tough.
Is there something in particular?
Just putting things together.
Knowing its members are starting to struggle with no end in sight for these strikes, the casino unions calling on the community to step up with donations of food and clothing calling it the Strike City Donation Drive. Miss Edwards not surprised. She can feel how needed those donations are right now. Is it getting to that point, like, maybe some food would be good?
I think so. Food, clothing, just any kind of support that anyone has, because it is difficult. $500 seems a lot, but it's really not when you have an entire family to take care of.
That's what you're doing.
Right.
How do you do it?
I have to come here every day, hope for the best, and hope there's some sort of outcome that benefits everyone. Because right now, it's taking a toll a lot. It's getting hard.
Getting hard indeed. Of course, union members vote to go on strike. But if people want to help out, watching these folks out here for 50 days in a row, several weeks across this way, you can donate any of those items that the unions are asking for outside any of the Detroit 3 casinos starting right now. We're live tonight downtown. Sean Lake, Local 4.
Got it. All right, Sean. All right, now we turn to Bernie following some new developments in the Michigan sign stealing investigation.
Yeah, I know on Friday we were saying it's already reached soap opera status, but in fact, this story isn't going away anytime soon.
Yeah. No, and I would say tune in tomorrow. We'll have more for you as it just becomes, because really what's happening here, the problem is not all the information has been revealed, and until that happens, you get the drip, drip, drip effect. Today, Central Michigan released a statement saying the investigation into whether Connor Stalions was on the CMU sidelines against Michigan State in the opener continues, and the NCAA has joined that Central Michigan investigation. We've got highlights of Stalions on the sidelines, far right, circle there, you've seen it, for the opener. As you probably know by now, Stalions resigned last Friday saying he didn't want to be a distraction. Really? Central wanted to get the word out that the NCAA has joined with them, probably because no one is sure what kind of help the NCAA is getting from Michigan, for example. Well, Stalions said he didn't want to be a distraction. Don't be surprised if Stalions doesn't get some votes for the Heisman Trophy, because the sign stealing scandal has overshadowed college football in 2023.
So true. Yeah.
And so right about the drip, 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 because you'd think it'd be a fairly easy process to figure out if he was at that game, if that's who that is, who was on the pass sheet that night,
well,
right?
Ward Manuel was headed to Dallas to do the college football playoffs. He's part of that committee.
Right.
He has canceled his trip for this week. He says he's staying back here in Ann Arbor to deal with this.
Okay. So we'll await the next trip.
Yeah, as the world turns.
Yeah. All right, Bernie. Today, Governor Whitmer signed some new bills designed to protect victims of crimes.
Yeah, it's an issue that came to light, especially during the pandemic. Rod Maloney is here with us now. Rod, victims advocates have long been asking for this.
Yeah, they really have. And like you said, in terms of the pandemic is when it all started, when remote or Zoom call proceedings really came into vogue. The biggest concern here is for victims or witnesses and that information, their personal information, getting into the wrong hands. Police across Michigan report seeing greatly increased domestic violence calls, yet the legal system often makes it difficult on those victims. Shar Berry, who works for the Detroit Parent Network, knows firsthand.
As a victim, it's often the calamity of these circumstances that make you feel as though going through the process isn't worth it.
Particularly when domestic violence assistance organizations and the police cannot easily trade information. There also was concern over witnesses or victims' personal information finding its way into the wrong hands, says Yvette Brown from Haven of Oakland County.
Today is a big win for survivors. These new bills add some layer of protection that were so desperately needed and may potentially create an opportunity for others to feel confident in taking that first step in the healing process.
Much of this became an issue during the pandemic. The bipartisan 4-bill package now allows for things like victim remote video testimony and the blurring of faces in those calls to protect identities. Governor Gretchen Whitmer is happy with these 4 new bills.
We know that there's greater access when people are testifying remotely, but we also don't want to inadvertently share information with an abuser or someone else who's got bad intentions when it's hard enough to tell your story as a survivor. So that's just 2 high-level things that these bills do, but I'm encouraged by this, and I'm hopeful we can continue working on ways to make Michigan safer.
To get specific, the bills do things like promote better collaboration between law enforcement and domestic violence assistance and sex assault support organizations, and also update the criminal code to help healthcare workers often caught in the middle of these difficult situations.
I know we don't often hear about bipartisan bills coming out of Lansing anymore.
Yeah, that would be true.
So what do you think was at play?
Well, I think this is one of those things that's been brewing for a long time. You had prosecutors, you had Michigan State Police, local police organizations, and also those organizations that assist women in these situations, frustrated over what they could and couldn't do to make sure that information actually gets to the right people and not to the wrong people. So that's where all this started.
Absolutely. Okay, Rod, appreciate it.
All right, let's take a look at live pictures from our Southfield Sky Cam. And we're using that shot for a special reason. We'll fill you in on that here in just a couple of minutes. But look at, well, it's getting dark earlier. Have you noticed that ever since Saturday night? Sunset, in fact, now just about 10 minutes away. We have seen clouds, a little bit of rain today, but also pretty mild overall.
It really was not a bad day at all. Let's get over to Kim Adams. Our first look at the forecast. Kim?
No, it's not a bad day at all. We had temperatures this afternoon in the mid-60s. It's still in the mid-60s downtown, where it's 65 degrees, 61 in Pontiac, 62 in Mount Clemens. Now, once that sun sets, these temperatures are going to drop rather quickly, but it's still 10 degrees warmer at the airport than it was 24 hours ago, 16 degrees warmer in Mount Clemens, and 19 degrees warmer right now than it was at 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon. Wind gusts, you probably noticed this. It was a very windy day. In fact, Metro Airport reported a 41-mile-per-hour gust. Lansing had a 45-mile-per-hour gust, but Lansing had a thunderstorm go through that was pretty strong, not severe, but this afternoon we had a line of thunderstorms that went north of I-69. Those are now off to the east, and skies will start to clear out here overnight tonight. Tomorrow morning we'll have a mix of clouds and sun for Election Day, but noticeably cooler with highs only in the low 50s. Gets even cooler than that for the end of the week. We'll talk about it coming up.
All right, Kim.